So good morning. Good morning, Sacramento. And my wife thought that was funny, apparently. So Kate and I watched this movie last night. And it just got me thinking. It's this movie about being a Christian and back in like the 70s and this little church that were very well intentioned. And it wasn't a negative thing in any way. They just kind of had a very interesting way of playing out their faith. I mean, they would regularly, tell people, quote scriptures to people who aren't Christians. And there's this funny scene where they're at the dinner table with the mom's sister. They have two kids, two daughters, and the mom's sister is there. And so they're all eating as a family, the father, the mother, and the two daughters, and then the mother's sister. And one of the girls goes to her mom, "Hey, Mommy, how come I forget her name, Aunt so-and-so, so nice if she's not a Christian?" And the dad, right in front of the sister, says, "Well, it's not just enough to be nice now, is it?" And you're just like, I felt crunching as a movie, and it's just got me thinking this morning, a little probably off track of where we've been, but just kind of contemplating what is the right way to live out our faith. Like as we go to school and as we're working and as we live and we go through life, what is the way that God would want us to live out our faith? How is that supposed to look? Because we're to be, all of the verses, essentially what I get from the Bible is that we're to live with people and we're supposed to be involved and go to work, you go to school and be very interactive in this on this planet, but yet at the same time it says we're to be set apart. And how do you become set apart without ostracizing yourself in such a way that you look like a weirdo loon bin because all you can talk about is scriptures and Bible verses and new songs of worship or whatever? And so I'm just praying and asking God this morning, like, okay, what do I do? How do you live this out? How do you want us to portray you and live out this faith? And a couple things hit in my head. First of all, the statement, relevance without compromise. How do we become relevant in conversation, relevant in interactions, relevant on our sports teams, in our classrooms, at our jobs, in such a way where I can have a conversation with somebody without compromising my faith, but yet not necessarily have to talk about God every single second? And be able to be the person that in those environments and in those situations is able to interact, but yet still not even, I feel like stand up for my faith is wrong because that assumes that I'm getting, persecuted. Just still guard my language, be who I am, be who God has called me to be. And there's this verse in 1 Peter 3:15 that really, I feel like hits it on the head. It says, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for your hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect." I think that's such a great verse because it's saying, always be ready to have an answer for your hope. Why do you believe what you believe? What has God done in your life? Always be ready to answer that question. Never shy away from it. Never back down. Never act like God's not the center of your life when He is. Never act like you're not a Christian when He is. But yet do it in a way that's gentle, that's respectful, not forcing your agenda on somebody, not forcing your will on them. I could be a Christian simply by going into an environment and guarding my words and my language. I don't have to get up and shout Jesus, Jesus, Jesus from the rooftops and take my Bible and start quoting scripture to everybody. That doesn't even, as a matter of fact, don't do that. That's not helpful. Who wants to have anything forced upon them? Nobody does. So today I think relevance without compromise, being ready to give an answer in season and out of season, and but doing it with gentleness and respect means that, we know who we are. We live out our faith. And more than shouting from the rooftops that Jesus is King, hopefully our lives are shouting so loudly. Hopefully the way that I'm interacting with people and the way that I'm treating people, the way that you guys are treating people, the way that you walk through the halls of your school and you interact with people, the way that you value somebody, you smile at somebody and you give them hope, just purely by being there, hopefully they beg the question, why are you so happy? Why do you have this? What is it about you? And then you get to say, well, I don't want to force anything on you, but I know God, and He's changed my life. And when that question is asked, their ear will be open, and then you'll find that you have the ability to have a connection and to maybe have an impact on somebody's life. But respect where they're at. Be gentle in the way that you approach it, but never back down from the truth that you know to be real in your heart.